Happy Mondays, my dears. This is Sweet Esmeralda. Just saying hey. Just saying hey. So this is my third attempt to record this video, so I'm not going to be enraged about it in any capacity. Obviously, I compartmentalized all of that stuff, but let's chat a little bit today about shadow work. That's what we're starting with this week. I had posted a meme last week or the week prior that was, what was it? If you see people as only good or only bad, then you have some shadow work to do. And a dear friend and client of mine had just messaged just saying, what is shadow work? So I thought that we could all kind of go through this step together and just offer a little bit, because it's going to look different for everybody. But the analogy that I really like that came to me in the second video that I recorded, I'm sorry, just going to leave that there, was imagine that you're standing in the middle of a field on a beautiful, bright, sunny day, and it's around 11:11. And the sun is looking at you, and you're just gazing at it. And this is the beginning of your awakening, where you're just like, I am the most magical creature on the planet. I am God having a human experience just as much as everyone is. And we're all equal, and we're all individual, and we're all one, and we're all together. And it's beautiful and lovely. And the sun is just like beaming on your face, and it's beautiful. What's behind you? You know, when you float above yourself as the director, as the consciousness, and you watch your avatar, Sarah, or whomever you are, just having this beautiful moment out in the sun, and your consciousness floats above the moment and looks at it like a scene as the director, and you see that there's a shadow behind you. There's a shadow behind you. And, you know, the shadow creates a little bit of a moist, damp environment. And maybe, there's a spider back there. Maybe there's something back there that you don't want to fucking look at, When your chest is up proud and you're holding yourself in and you're breathing deeply, you might be clenching your buttocks and you might have some cellulite. There might be some cellulite back there. You might have an itch, or you might have an ingrown hair on the back of your neck that you just can't get to because you're single. And you're just like, who pops your pimples when you're single? Who gets those things? Who does that? Traumas are back there, the things you don't want to look at are back there. So, the term ego death, we've discussed before, when you recognize that, you are not this avatar, that you're, the consciousness having the human experience. And that's when you're kind of floating above yourself and you realize that everything is beautiful and good and lovely, but everything is also negative, and there are traumas and there are issues and there's shit you got to look at and you got to deal with that. Can't just vibe high all the time. Can't. I had a customer who's, also a client and a dear friend as well, the restaurant a while ago. She'd asked me, she's like, you're always super positive. I was like, I know. She's like, even in the dark moments. I was like, I know. She's like, well, what about when you're feeling like shit? I was like, oh, buddy, I take some time off and I feel that shit. And I purposefully create the scene to feel it deeper. Put on your favorite rom-com, put on your favorite, sad music, be single and put on Sade, poke at the pain. I will poke at it. I will poke at it and I will be like, what's in here? What's behind it? I grab my coffee, or my protein flavored coffee. My protein addiction is showing. Yeah. Yes. But so when we have our ego death and we realize it's not just light, it's not just dark, it is what it is, you still have to look at the light, you have to look at the dark, you have to look at everything. And shadow work is looking at the negatives. It's not so much looking at it. It is looking at this has happened to me. It is trauma work, but at the same time, it's recognizing okay, so how do I say? Trauma's happened here. Say, we'll use me an example, an undisclosed childhood, sexual trauma happened at some point over here. Don't know when, don't know who, don't know what. It's over here. It's over here. And then there's Sarah 35-year-old avatar right now doing shadow work and looking at that. I can't live in this reality because I am the way that I am because this happens to me. It's not looking at the trauma. It's looking at, okay, how does 35-year-old Sarah engage in her relationships? Am I doing what I'm doing because of that? Am I afraid to speak up for myself? Am I afraid to show my true self? Am I afraid to be vulnerable or ask for what I need or say no? Or say no? Do I feel okay saying no now? If not, try that on for size. Because of this, we know that this happened and this was real. This was someone else's doing and that sucked. But I'm 35 now. I'm not 5 or I'm not however old that was. When I said that, it was 555, 555, I just want to write that down. 555, hold on. It's just, my angels keep talking. 555. Okay. And so when you do the shadow work, I say, okay, I have this, this thing that I have to address right now. Am I acting out of my trauma or am I acting as the best version of myself? Am I saying no and then letting that simmer? Or am I saying no because blah, 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 or am I just saying no? So I think that slapped. I definitely think that hit. Please reach out with any questions. What does shadow work mean to you? What does, what definition do you like to use? And it changes for everyone, for absolutely everyone. So the way that you deep dive into this work, most important is safety. For me personally, most important for my team, for my flock, is safety. Do you feel safe doing your shadow work? Do you feel like you have a team member? Please reach out directly. We can book a session. We can, make sure that you have someone there to help you unpack what you're going through, to feel safe to look at it, Building a compartment for you to unleash roaring pain is important and necessary. We're deep diving into inner child and inner adolescent work. And, I love that, reel or that noise, whatever. It was like, after you do your inner child work, your inner teenager comes out and she's fucking pissed. So there's rage packed in there. You got to give yourself the compartment to feel what you're feeling because it's going to be big. I love you. Happy Monday. We've got some fun transits coming up next week. The week after, and we're in between the full moon and the new moon week. So last week was the full moon, where we just fucking exploded. We just gyrated. We did all the things. We said all the things. And now we're looking at the rubble of our life. Because we purged a lot of shit last week. We purged a lot of stuff. We felt a lot of stuff. We experienced a lot of stuff. And now we're looking at the rubble and we're like, what is left? Because, just like we'd said about dreams, if you remember, your dreams is a message. So if something's left after you've burned everything to the ground, maybe it's gold, maybe it's necessary, maybe it's a treasure, maybe it's a breadcrumb. So take a look at what's left behind. And if you feel comfortable and safe, please, comment below and message the group. And let me know how I can best support you this week. Happy Monday.